The Sports Scouting Report with Lee Burkeen. Brought to you by Medine's Collision Center in Baton Rouge. Take control, choose Medine's. Grosse Savant Lodge, south of Lake Charles, the true sportsman's paradise. Treads and Care Company in Central, the tires you need, the service you want. Harvey Auto in Shreveport, Bossier City, the name you have trusted for years. And Gage in Baton Rouge. Get better connected with Gage. Here's your host, Lee Burkeen.
Hi, everyone. My name's Lee Burkeen. I'm the host of the Sports Scouting Report podcast. We've got a great guest today, Brad Parmley, the head football coach at DeRidder High School. If you don't know where DeRidder is, when the show's over, we're going to let you know everything about DeRidder High School. Not far from Lake Charles, not far from Alexandria, Louisiana, kind of in the middle. And if you heard of Leesville, not far from Leesville and Rose Pine and all those areas. But we're going to talk to Brad Parmley. We're going to talk about his recruits. We're going to have highlight tapes of some of his top players. We're going to talk about his coaching staff and his family. Great heritage. His grandfather was a coach a long time. His dad's still with him as a coach. And we'll talk about that. We'll be right back.
Listen, whatever you're driving right now, Tommy Harvey wants it. Bring it in to Harvey Subaru, Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City, or John Harvey Toyota. They're paying big bucks for all trades right now. They'll cut you a check right there. Tell them Lee sent you.
What does that bug man do?
Not only do we do pest control, we do odor control, bat removal, moisture control, rodents, and of course, bed bug control. Give the bug man a call. We get them before they get you.
Welcome back. Lee Burkeen, your host of the Sports Scouting Report podcast. Before we introduce Brad Parmley, the head coach of DeRidder High School, I want to thank Mike Johnson. We're at his restaurant, the Giulio Brothers Italian Restaurant on Perkins Road, not far from Acadian. And look, a rock throw away from LSU's campus. Be sure to check them out when you're visiting LSU for game day or brunch on Sundays, 10:30 to 12. I also want to thank the Marriott of Baton Rouge, Ralph Ney. Appreciate his help. The Bug Man is one of our big sponsors. Appreciate Paul Salvant and several of our sponsors at Grosse Savant and others that support this show and make it possible for us to do statewide coverage. And without taking any longer, I want to introduce Brad Parmley. Brad, Coach, thanks, man.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you coming from DeRidder, Louisiana.
Absolutely excited to be here, man.
Got your helmet here. This is the colors, the blue and the white.
Yes, sir.
What is the second? Do y'all have black too? Right?
Black's a trim. Yeah.
Okay.
We stick with blue and white a lot.
Want to mention Brad has been with DeRidder, which is unheard of these days. 16 total years.
Correct.
9 years as a head coach.
I just finished eight years.
Coming up 9.
Yes.
But your dad, prior to you,
right,
was the head coach for 9 years.
Correct.
And
yes,
you were
sir.
with him.
Yes, sir. I was.
And your dad,
for 8 of those years, I was with him. Yeah.
Brag on his family tree, the Parmley family. I met your dad when I started the magazine in '97. And he was at Bolton.
Correct. Yep.
And Eric Parmley. And Eric helped me a lot. He's like, this is how you get to Ash High School. This is how you do this. This is where Menard is.
And my grandpa was the head coach at Bolton for 19 years. Yeah.
Say your grandfather's name.
Brownie. Yep.
Who's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. In my mind, for sure, yeah.
But you had to become a coach, right?
Right, yeah. Well,
no choice.
Funny story. So my grandfather was the head coach at Bolton forever. He coached in Arkansas in the beginning. Man. Came down to Louisiana in the 70s. But on the other side, my mom's dad was a coach and principal in Arkansas.
Come on.
So, it runs deep.
So everybody understands.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And I want to mention that Brad's dad, Eric, is still the athletic director at DeRidder.
Correct.
And still coaching O-line to help.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Him and Coach Harlow coach O-line together.
What's it like to have Dad on the staff?
It's awesome. I mean, just from a guy that has that much experience, I think I know a lot, but he knows more just from being there and going through situations that I haven't experienced yet.
Brad is joining us from DeRidder High School, the head coach. We're going to talk about his recruits for the 224 and 225 classes, because now everybody recruits 2 classes at a time. 10 years ago, it used to be 1 class at a time. They're even recruiting 3 classes at a time.
Right.
What do you think of this whole recruiting portal? I got to ask every time somebody's on.
Yeah, for sure.
NIL money.
Yeah. Everything has changed so fast in the last couple of years. Recruiting in general, I mean, once Huddle, whenever it came out and the internet, it kind of exploded everything. But the last couple of years, recruiting in general has just changed so much with the transfer portal. High school recruiting, in my opinion, has gotten 10 times harder for a high school kid to get signed. For a lot of different reasons.
Coach, speaking of recruiting, McNeese has had some coaches over the last few years. It's 3 coaches in the last 5 years, I believe. They have a coach coming back second year from Valdosta State. We hope he can do well in your backyard.
Absolutely.
LSU, they have a coach that's now going his second year, Coach Kelly. And UL's got DeSarmo, who's going in his second year. A lot of second-year guys. But what do you think of their involvement? I'm still an old-school guy. I think you still need to go to the high schools and visit.
100%.
And not out of state as much. I'm always in-state first, out of state after.
That's the way it should be,
Are you getting a lot of visits from LSU, McNeese, some of these schools?
Yeah, so LSU, we haven't seen LSU in a couple of years. We have seen the ULs and McNeeses and Northwestern States of the world. Grambling has started coming by in the last couple of years, Southern as well. So we love having those guys on campus because it makes a difference when they show up and say hi and see and put a face to a name.
And isn't it true that there's so many DeRidder LSU fans that if they knew Kelly was coming,
oh man, it'd be a parade.
It's like
in
a
town.
parade, right? So I mean, and look, we're going to share a story about a recruit from DeRidder. I told you, Brad, and it's a story that when I was working for A&M, guys, don't get mad at me if you listen to the show watching it. This is prior to Jimbo Fisher. This is during the Les Miles era at LSU, but. There's been a lot of good players come out. I want to mention this before we take a break. Famous alumni from DeRidder in football, not all sports, football. Mel Branch, Dallas Cowboys, 1955 for Dallas. I don't know his graduating date from high school. Maybe 40s. DeShaver Everett, who we're going to talk about later, his story, how he got recruited by A&M. Michael Mays was a heck of a corner for LSU back in the day. And Joe Morgan, 1949, the year my mom was born and my dad. Joe Morgan, not the Cincinnati Reds Joe Morgan, but 1949 San Francisco 49ers.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I pulled that one out of my rabbit hat here, Coach. But it's a 9 through 12 high school. Beauregard Parish, which is right outside of the Lake Charles area.
On the Texas line,
How interesting is that?
We're about 23 miles from the Texas line. And Houston is about as far as Baton Rouge is for us.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
How far is Jasper, Texas from you?
Hour.
They got the #1 recruit in Texas next year.
I didn't know that, really.
Linebacker.
Interesting.
Isn't that something?
Not too far away.
Unbelievable. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have more Coach Brad Parmley. We're going to share some stories on recruiting and also his players and talk more about DeRidder High School. We'll be right back.
Gros Savon Lodge, the true sportsman's paradise. Gros Savon Lodge has fresh and saltwater fishing, alligator hunting, waterfowl hunting, and eco tours located south of Lake Charles, Louisiana. Give them a call at 337-598-2357. That number to call again is 337-598-2357 and have the time of your life. Listen, whatever you're driving right now, Tommy Harvey wants it. Bring it in to Harvey Subaru, Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City, or John Harvey Toyota. They're paying big bucks for all trades right now. They'll cut you a check right there. Tell them Lee sent you.
Welcome back. Lee Burkeen, the host of the Sports Scouting Report podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our show. Hopefully Coach will do it. A lot of these older guys, they don't want to, but just hit the subscribe button. It's free. It's not like you got to pay for it. It's free, but also like it and share it. As we grow, man, it's really doing great. We're averaging about 20 a month, actually a week right now. The last month we had 20 a week that we're getting, but we've got to get to our goal. Appreciate people that are doing it, but hit the subscribe button. And also, again, we want to thank the Giulio Brothers Italian Restaurant where we're filming today. Appreciate him letting us use his restaurant before the ovens start up, Coach.
Yeah.
You're going to start smelling food in a minute. But talk about the stadium at DeRidder, Cecil Doyle Memorial Stadium. You told me he was a coach in the 50s.
He was, yeah. He, I believe it was from 52 to maybe 63, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Well-known name in town. We have a restaurant in town called Cecil's, and it's owned by Cecil Dole's grandson.
Wow.
Yep. And I play golf at the Beauregard Country Club.
Okay.
And Cecil Dole has a bench right there in front of the clubhouse. I mean, so he's a well-known name in town.
He appreciates the plug. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
What kind of restaurant is it we're trying to plug him?
Cajun food.
Cajun,
Yeah.
there you go.
The famous Tiger Burger.
Is that where everybody goes for lunch, just about? Like
100%.
local
Yeah,
wise?
absolutely.
'Cause everybody has a McDonald's. and
Yeah,
all
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But support Cecil's
There you
restaurant.
go. Yeah.
Coach, your coaching staff. You got your dad, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
You got Joshua Beard,
Uh-huh.
co-D coordinator.
Co-DC, yeah.
With Thomas Wortham.
Yep.
You got Tyler Bailey on your staff.
Yes, sir.
Justin Denny, Nick Ardoin. Is it Ardoin?
Ardwan, yeah.
Ardoin.
Yeah.
And Danny Carnlin
Carnline, yep.
and Charles Harlow.
Yep, Chuck Harlow. Yeah. My staff is awesome. Number one, they're good men. And I'm very fortunate. You know, a couple of those guys that I coached, and
Wow.
Dad and I both coached, and they went off and wanted to come back home.
That's the best.
100%. 100%. Quick story on that one. We've signed 20 guys over the last 15 years from a small community, which I think is a
Big time.
huge positive
Big
for us.
time.
But the first guy we signed was Thomas Wortham. He played defensive line for me whenever I was defensive line coach. He gets signed by Langston University, goes up to Oklahoma, plays ball, finishes his degree, wants to come back home and coach, calls me, and I said, I'll hire you on the spot.
That's your co-D coordinator.
And exactly right.
How old is he now?
Nishak is 29, 30 years old, something
that's
like
like
that.
40 when you play
Yeah, right.
college ball.
100%,
You
yeah.
know, Langston's that's a good school.
Absolutely, and same thing with Chuck Harlow. So
Okay.
Chuck played on the 13 team for us.
That's how I knew the name.
Yep. He's offensive line, defensive lineman. Was a really good player for us. His dad's the local fire chief in town, and
There you go.
Chuck goes to play at McNeese for a couple years, and decides he wants to come back home and coach ball. And he's a great coach and a great man.
Appreciate your service too, firemen.
100%.
All those cops and firemen, medics.
Yes, sir.
That's pretty neat stuff. I'm glad we talked about that. You got to bring people back. That's what keeps coaching going, right?
Absolutely.
Brad, I mean.
Well, when you find guys like that go off and do good things in college, but they want to come back home to put back into our kids now, you know, it means a lot.
Your dad won 3 straight district titles when he was coach.
Absolutely.
Does he still remind you of that?
Every now and again. Yeah, every now and again.
Can I share my story with you?
Absolutely.
For everybody listening or
Yes, sir.
watching, for the DeRidder community. And it's not a brag, and it's just a true story. But years ago, the Shaver Everett, and what year we're talking about, Coach? Because I'm losing track of years.
09 and 10.
09 and 10.
Yeah.
I'm working for Texas A&M, and I'm selling them film. I'm doing the same thing, start with Saban and then Les Miles. Buddy Wyatt's a D-line coach. I go up to College Station. By the way, Von Miller, I'm watching Von Miller in practice.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking back
Player.
now, I'm like, hey, that was a good practice.
Yeah.
Von Miller was a freshman from DeSoto, Texas, and I'm watching. And I remember Buddy Wyatt going, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Well, getting back to the story, Randy Jordan was recruiting a state who was from the Oakland Raiders at the time. It's now Las Vegas Raiders. Him and Buddy Wyatt was like, who do we recruit in Louisiana? Well, Buddy, I told him to go recruit Patrick Lewis at East St. John, who they signed. He made all conferences a center.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted him because he's 6'1",
Yeah, of course.
310, but he
course.
benched 500.
Yeah.
So Randy Jordan calls me one day, and he's in Ellick lost. I mean, I'm like, Randy, have you ever been to Ellick? No. I said, I can't help you with the streets, but I can tell you where you need to go.
Yeah.
He's like, where do I need to go? I said, you need to go to DeRidder High School. He's like, where's DeRidder? I'm like, your GPS, go to DeRidder.
Leesville and down.
I think your dad, Eric, might have been the head coach.
He was.
And I said, they got a kid named Everett. Last name is Everett. I said, he's a great athlete. He's about 5'11", 6 feet.
Yep.
Smart.
Yep.
I said, get him out of class. You're going to love him. And his highlight tape, you can watch the whole game of every game and love him. He said, well, he's not ranked. I said, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Did LSU offer him? No.
No. All right.
He said, now, if you're not right, I'm not going to use you anymore. He said, that's a long – I said, Coach, you need to go to DeRidder.
Check it out.
3 days later, I get a call from Coach Jordan and Buddy Wyatt. We want this kid. I said, Coach, I'm telling you, my eyes work. He's good. He's good this level.
Yes.
All conference 3 years.
Yep.
All American.
NFL
9, almost 10 years.
Yep. Absolutely.
Shaver Everett. It's a true story.
Yeah.
I don't discuss them unless I'm just bringing back memories for the podcast.
Yeah.
But since you're here today, I'm like, I got to throw that out.
Absolutely, man. DeShazer, his recruitment, it was kind of weird because the end of his junior year, the spring of his junior year, when all this started happening, and the moment Texas A&M came in and said, "Hey, this kid," and we were like, "We know, we've been saying this.
Right.
Where have y'all been?"
Right.
But the moment they pulled the trigger, everything exploded.
Yeah.
And he went on to a great career at A&M and did a great job in the NFL. And he still comes around. I mean, to us, he's still Shays. You know, not much has changed.
I wanted him to know the story because he never probably knew that.
Right.
He never knew that.
No.
I'm just trying to help kids.
I didn't know till today.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we don't go around, hey, you know.
Yeah.
But Coach is like, we got it now. I'm like, good.
Absolutely.
You know? And there's been several kids. You've had 15 signed in 20 years, which is a lot.
We've signed over 20 in the
20.
last 15 years.
That's a lot.
That's at all levels. I mean, you're talking
Right.
about Division
D3,
One and NAIA,
1AA.
JUCOs, 1AA, or FCS now. Yeah.
That's pretty impressive, though.
Thank you. Proud of that.
I remember 2 years ago, you had 3 290-pound nose guards
Yes, sir.
/ 300.
Right.
And I'm like, Coach, that's rare.
It was.
You don't
Yeah.
always have 3 of them.
Absolutely. Yeah, we were very blessed. That I think that was 2019, 2020. That defensive line group was pretty special.
Incredible. Now, we've got about a minute left, and I'm going to promote the next segment, our final segment, but we're going to highlight tapes, film on his kids coming up, 224, 225. We've got actually 5 kids to show when we come back, and we'll end the show with Coach Parmley from DeRidder High School, Brad Parmley, the head coach. We'll be right back.
What does that bug man do?
Not only do we do pest control, we do odor control, bat removal, moisture control, rodents, and of course, bed bug control. Give the bug man a call. We get them before they get you.
Gros Savon Lodge, the true sportsman's paradise. Gros Savon Lodge has fresh and saltwater fishing, alligator hunting, waterfowl hunting, and eco tours located south of Lake Charles, Louisiana. Give them a call at 337-598-2357. That number to call again is 337-598-2357, and have the time of your life.
Welcome back, Lee Burkeen with the Sports Scouting Report podcast. We've got the head coach from DeRidder High School, Brad Parmley. Great program. Like Coach said, the last segment, over 20 signees the last 20 years of all levels, which that's a lot of kids. I mean, this is not a 5A school, and it's a great town. I've actually, as a post-high school graduate coach, my first job was Leesville, Louisiana.
Really?
I was building tennis courts at Fort Polk. And I'd never been to the area.
Yeah.
And I stayed there, and it was a great little community, and we kind of traveled, drove around, and went through DeRidder.
Right.
And just a great, tight-knit community, huh, Coach?
We love it, yeah. My wife and I have 3 kids, and they're all going to be Dragons, and DeRidder's been good to me and my family.
I want to mention this, that Coach Parmley played for LSU 1 year, walked on a year, which not easy to do, and then transferred to Northwestern State in Natchitoches and played for Scott Stoker.
I did.
Who's still coaching
at Tarleton State.
At Tarleton State in Texas.
Absolutely. Yeah, we had some good years in Demon Land, man. Won conference my junior year and got to play in the playoffs twice versus Montana, which was a neat experience. So I enjoyed my time in Natchitoches for sure.
Was that with Craig Nall?
No, that was after Craig.
Right after Craig.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That was Davon Vincent and Toby Ziegler and Derek Doyle and
Davon Vincent from Texas, a quarterback.
Yes, sir, from Baylor.
He could run.
He could play. Yeah.
Big, tall guy.
David Pittman was one of our corners.
Lutcher High School.
100%.
Yeah.
Played with some good guys.
You were with the right guys.
Absolutely,
right
yeah.
That was Stoker's heyday.
100%, yeah.
And like all college coaches, it's hard to.
Oh yeah.
It's hard to win at the casino every year in college football, right?
Absolutely.
How was your college experience? So.
It was awesome.
LSU, what was it like?
That was great in a different way. Just to be able to experience the LSU atmosphere, getting to go to the Sugar Bowl. We beat Illinois that year.
That's right.
Yep, sure did.
Rowan Davey.
Yep, sure did. But that was neat. But then going to actually getting to play at Northwestern State was a whole nother experience. I mean, I met some friends there for lifelong. Met my wife at Northwestern State.
There you go.
It was pretty cool.
Let's go ahead and go into some highlight films, Coach, and I've got them in order. We'll spend a little time, but let the highlights speak for themselves, showing them. But Kenia St. Romain, quarterback, linebacker for you athlete.
Yeah. Kanias is a special kid, man. I mean, he's a 6'3", 210, 215 kid. Loves to tackle, loves the physical aspect of football, runs like a deer. In my opinion, he's the next one that has a legit shot to be a big-time recruit.
I watched him play for you as a freshman.
Yeah, 100%.
Good-looking kid.
Yeah.
They don't look any better than
No,
this kid.
that's a fact.
Jaden as well,
Yep.
tight end, D-tackle.
Yep. Jaden is a big, strong kid, too. I mean, he's a weight room warrior. When you look at him, he's got that Greek god physique. Got hurt last year, got banged up a couple times, was a big loss for us. We're looking for big things for him next year.
Speaking of college coaches, don't worry about no junior film.
Right.
Just go see him as a senior. Uriah Wade.
Yeah,
Wade.
man.
Quarterback, athlete,
No doubt about it. I mean, for him to play quarterback for us last year as a sophomore and grow and do the things that he did, it was very impressive. And I'm very excited about him next year as a junior because he's going to have that experience under his belt from last year.
Another D-tackle. Coach has still got some D-tackles.
Yeah.
Kavion Williams.
Yep, Kavion, man. Big body kid, moves well. Soft-spoken kid, but he's a hard-working, good young man. Doing a really good job right now in the weight room, too.
And one more kid we're going to show you, Jatari Harris.
Yeah, Jatari. He
as
started as
his name's up.
That's okay. He started at corner for us last year as a sophomore. Did some really good things. Had a pick 6 in the district ball game. We're looking for him to maybe tote the mail next year at running back and play defensive back a little bit.
Pick 6 is a freshman.
As a sophomore.
He's a 225 guy.
Yes.
Still got a lot of ball left.
Absolutely.
And speaking of 25, Wade is only a sophomore.
100%.
And the other two are 224 kids.
Right.
So these are all guys coming up. And then there's others. So if you're watching, you're on the team, we can't get everybody out.
Yeah.
But in our preview magazine in August, we'll have more kids mentioned, and even if they're not recruits. That's what we do at Louisiana Football.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a recruit to be in the magazine.
Correct. 2, I want to mention the Fairley brothers that aren't on anybody's list right now.
Okay.
Not the biggest, but they played football last year. One of them was a freshman last year. One of them played for the first year as a junior and scored touchdowns and did a great job for us, and we're expecting big things out of both those guys.
So not twins, but brothers.
Brothers, yeah.
A couple of years apart in age.
Correct, yes, sir.
It's always good to have brothers on the team.
Yeah.
You got a couple of Joey Bosa
Especially the ones
that
that can run.
Right.
For sure.
You look at Joey Bosa and his brother in the NFL.
Man.
Is that crazy?
That'd have been fun to coach in high
They're
school.
so good. I think everybody forgets about who's who.
Yeah.
When you say Bosa, you think one guy, but they're both equally Hall of Famers.
2 different kids,
Isn't that something if you're a dad?
Oh.
Like the Mannings, like Eli.
I can't
and
imagine.
Peyton.
Yeah. I can't imagine being the high school coach having that on the field at the same time.
Like, do you have 9 years of eligibility? Not 4. Do you have 9? Can we get you to come back?
Correct.
Coach, any final thoughts about DeRidder and any shout out? I know your dad and your grandfather played a big part in your coaching.
100%.
Is anybody else that helped you along the way?
I mean, those 2 stick out to me the most just because, growing up, it was always football the whole time. I grew up in a locker room. My first experience is a locker room, being at Christmas time, hearing them talk about football. I mean, it was always that. Another guy that sticks out to me was Danny Springs. Okay. He was my defensive coordinator at Bolton. Him and my grandfather were like that, best friends.
Okay.
He's since retired, but just a fine man, and made a big impact on me.
Brad Parmley with us from DeRidder. Before we go, I have another question for you. What do you like most about football?
About the game of football? What it teaches young men. 100%. I mean, they think it's just about football, but really it's about life and the things that they're learning at an early age.
Spring practice, you want to promote your team coming
Absolutely,
up? Every team's different.
Yeah.
Starting, but when are y'all going to start spring?
We're going to start May the 1st, and we're going to play North DeSoto in a spring game again at North DeSoto this year. Yeah. Big challenge for us because those guys got things rolling, and we always try to play, quality opponents, and they're definitely going to be a quality opponent for us.
Yeah, they were in the Superdome this
100%.
past year. First time ever with Dennis Dunn, who was at Pineville at one time.
Yes, sir.
And Louisiana College, but now it's Louisiana Christian. Right?
Yes, sir. That's right.
Do they come to the school? They should.
They do. Yeah, well, they signed one of my running backs, Alex Arshield, this year.
And speaking of that, one question I'm glad I remember before we go. Talk about your kids that are currently in college playing ball. You have one at Lamar, a big lineman.
Yep. James Williams signed with Lamar 2 years ago, doing really good things. He's starting at Lamar. Just a great kid, man. He was fun to coach. We signed 3 this past signing class. Bryant Hammond signed with Henderson State. Super kid, excited for him. Alex Arshield signed with Louisiana Christian. And then my other running back, Ronnie Crosby, got a walk-on spot at Texas A&M.
And Ronnie's a pretty good walk-on.
Yeah, he's a good player. That was a big pickup for anybody.
5'9", about 190-ish.
Yep.
Can really go. And your big lineman Williams at 6'3", 3-something. I don't know how big he is now, but he can move in high school.
Yeah.
Number 77 for you. That's all I remember back in high school.
Sure was, yeah.
He was pounding people on the ground, knocking them down.
100%. Yeah, he was fun to coach. He's the kind of kid when he needed 3 yards, you knew where you were going.
Can you mold him like?
Oh, I wish. I wish. Yeah.
Coach Parmley, Brad Parmley, I appreciate you being a part of the show.
Thank you for the invite.
I'm glad that we were able to get this out statewide, where if you're not from Lake Charles or DeRidder or Alexander, you know more about the school.
Absolutely.
You know? And support DeRidder. And Friday night, are there any Thursday night games? Some cities aren't many Thursday night games. Do y'all play many Thursday?
We have one on the schedule every year, and it's during Fair Week. It's going to be the first week in October. We play on Thursday.
Very rare, but they will play a Thursday night game.
Yep.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
It's Brad Parmley, DeRidder High School. Our show on Friday is Sulphur High School, not far away. We're going to talk to the head coach, Cody Garinger, and also Mason Martin, who was on the cover of a magazine. By the way, Brad was on the cover in 2000. I couldn't find the magazine, but I did bring one from 2011 with Mason, and we're going to have fun talking about that. He was on the cover with Landon Collins, who Mason reminded me of that the other day from Dutchtown at Cecilia High School is where we took it. You remember where we took it when you were on the cover?
We were at LSU's campus.
LSU's campus. That was when you legally could do it.
Right.
You could have recruits on, and Saban let us do that back in the day. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see everybody on Friday.
Thanks for listening to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Burkeen.